have some notes. I'm always curious to see if I actually use them. So, since the focus of this month is gratitude, thank you. I thank each and every one of you for your presence here and for this loving, caring, supportive, wonderful community. I am so grateful to be part of this community and to have the opportunity to share the message. And then to get to hear it on YouTube so I can actually hear what I've said. So, I know for months, actually for a year ahead of time, what the topic's going to be. And about 2 months, 6 weeks before it's time for me to speak, I send in the title of the message to Elizabeth, who handles the logistics. And when I do it, it's just whatever pops into my mind. And so I wrote to her about 6 weeks ago and said, my title on November 12th is Living Life as a Thank You. And she wrote back immediately and she said, that was the title you used last year. and the same message can't be delivered. So I thought, well, I better listen to last year's message, which I did do, so I changed the title. And I made the title, Gratitude is Your Choice. And so I was really struck this morning when the opening song is Love is My Decision. Because what is a choice? A choice is a decision. So as I thought about gratitude, what started popping into my mind is the word appreciation. And I recently sold my house out here, and when people would ask me, well, how much did you sell it for? Did it appreciate? And what the word appreciation means in that case is, did you make money on it? Did your money grow? And we talk about the stock market appreciating. And so it occurred to me that when we think about gratitude and appreciation, is that what we focus our attention on is what appreciates. And that can be what we're grateful for, our health, community, having warm coats when suddenly the weather turns extremely cold. But what also appreciates is when we're caught in the cycle of our I'm not enoughness. There's agreement directly from a child of God. And so it's important to know that what we focus on, and this is a major tenet of New Thought, is what we focus on appreciates. What we focus on grows. So what does it mean to make the choice for gratitude? What does it mean that gratitude is a choice? Well, I know it started for me many, many years ago, really without knowing what any of it meant. When, my mother would say to me when somebody gave me something or gave me a compliment or did something nice, say thank you. So I've known the words thank you for well over 60 years. But that's just the beginning of it. The next step for me was decades later. Some of you may be familiar with the book, is it called Simple Pleasures? The Abundance, Simple Abundance, where there was the suggestion, and then Oprah picked it up, of every day write down 5 things that you're grateful for. And so I did that activity. And I must admit that when I started it, it was just about getting the 5 things down each day. Kind of repeating some of the ones that I put the day before, just so I could say that I did the task. But doing the task and being a vessel of gratitude, being the energetic vibration of gratitude and appreciation, is different than simply doing the writing. Although that was a really good start for me. And then I wrote a book, and I wrote about gratitude in the book. And I thought, okay, instead of simply writing down 5 things that I'm grateful for each day, how about I write down at least 3 that I'm grateful for, and then 1 thing that I've never expressed gratitude for before. And something just popped into my mind that I've never expressed gratitude for before. I've never expressed gratitude for a keychain, a place where holds all of my keys so I don't need them scattered all over the place. But there's a playfulness in this. What Dottie expressed in terms of her gratitude for Family Feud. We all laughed about that. And in that laughter, there's an appreciation of the lightness of it. And so there were 3 things I was grateful for. 1 thing I'd never expressed gratitude before for in my life. And the 5th one is something I am grateful for about myself. And I don't know about you, but oftentimes in my life, I've had the experience of being grateful for a particular group of people or particular family members. But whenever I focused on the circle of appreciation, I held myself outside of that circle. I was the one doing the appreciation. And what I've learned is that until we appreciate, honor, and value ourselves, we are limited in the appreciation and gratitude that we can give to others. Because there's a blockage. There's a blockage of the flow when we believe that we're not enough, when we forget that God is our source, supply, and support. So I'm very much touched by a quote by Meister Eckhart, who is a 14th century theologian, philosopher, and mystic. And his quote is, "The only prayer you ever have to say in your whole life is that if the only prayer you ever said in your whole life is thank you, it is enough." And the message in that is that in our praying, when we can appreciate, when we can be grateful for that which we are asking for that which we are affirming, trusting that our prayers are heard, that is when the magic occurs. And I know that so many of us have been trained, and I certainly have been. I'll be happy when I see it. I'll be grateful when it's there. Yeah, I know it's coming, but it's not here yet. So I started wondering this morning, what is it that blocks us from expressing gratitude as well as receiving recognition and appreciation? Because I truly believe that what we all want, yes, it might be a thing, but underneath all of the things, what we all want is love and recognition. And I say again, it must begin with our giving it to ourselves. So what blocks gratitude? What blocks the giving of it and the receiving of it? Well, one is habit. Have you ever had the thought that, well, it's really not going to matter if I tell someone that I appreciate them. They hear it from other people. I really don't matter that much, so no need for me to express it. And many of us have a very, very difficult time receiving appreciation, receiving compliments. Somebody says to us, "Oh, I like your haircut," or "What you're wearing is great," and you point out to where the spot is. Or, "No, my hair will look good in a few weeks when it grows out a bit more." And how often do we block ourselves from receiving exactly that which we most desire? the response to a compliment is thank you. No story about it. And for some of us, that means we've got to bite our tongue after we say thank you, because we want to tell the whole story about we may not totally deserve it 100% yet. Or if I deserve it today, yesterday I didn't. So I'll tell you the story about how I screwed up or the error I made yesterday. Anybody familiar with any of this? The other thing that makes it difficult for us to receive is the devaluing of ourselves, not truly valuing our gifts, our talents, and our skills. And a variation of that is comparing what I think I'm good at to what you're good at. And the truth is, if we were all good at the same thing, a lot of things would not get done. You know, I'm glad that there are people who know how to repair my car. I do not want to learn how to do that. I am not good at that. I am good at seeing the light go on and it says check engine, and I know then to call someone. So underneath everything about gratitude is that honoring of ourselves. And what is it that stops us? Well, many of us have learned not to toot our own horns. You know, be modest. Don't show off. Don't act like you're a know-it-all. Be humble. But is it against being humble to use our gifts generously? Is it against being humble? Is it against being loving to say, I can do that, or I can teach you that, or I know about this? And so I can remember many, many years ago, I did corporate consulting for 35 years, and I'd work in some departments where what held the department together were the employees being pissed off at the boss. They all had a common enemy, someone to complain about. Can you believe what she did now? Can you believe what he just said? And so what happened is, I said, let's experiment. Let's start staff meetings by going around the room and people express something that they're grateful for, that they've accomplished about themselves, and then an appreciation that they have for someone else in the room. And what initially happened is, if the boss appreciated one person, everybody else in the room was pissed off. Why not me? I did something. That what about me-ness that gets in the way of our receiving what's present? My saying that I like this doesn't mean I don't like that. It simply means I'm focusing my attention on this right now. And so we actually talked about that because I was leading these meetings. And so I simply ask that you be aware of what goes on within you when you hear, one, you get a compliment, you get appreciation. I mean, how many of you somewhere in your house, in some special drawer, have some of those cards that have been sent to you that are special birthday cards or special notes that tell how much you're appreciated and how important your love and your presence is in my life? So many of us keep hold of those special words. And so the next question becomes, how is it that I expand? How is it that I appreciate my capacity for gratitude? And we practice it. And we practice it by writing those lists. We practice it by giving us the challenge of expressing gratitude 50 times in a day. We practice it by giving ourselves the challenge of once a week writing a note to someone that says, I appreciate your presence. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for picking up that package. Thank you for making me laugh when I was feeling so sad. So it's not about the magnitude of the activity or the magnitude of the task. It is about the acknowledgement from my heart to yours. It's about the title I'm not supposed to be using. It's about living life as a thank you. So what does that look like in our daily life? What does that look like in the supermarket? Well, it might look like making eye contact with the cashier and saying thank you. Yes, it's his or her job. Do we have to thank people for doing their jobs? Well, in the full scheme of things, no. That's what that person is being paid to do. But what difference does it make when somebody looks in your eyes and says, thank you, have a nice day. I appreciate you bagging my groceries. You know, whatever it is, it can be the most simple thing. And we are living in a time where the call for love is so great, where the call for appreciation is so great. And I don't want to get political, and I am going to mention a political name. I have been thanking the current administration in my own mind for reminding me on a daily basis to love, because I don't want to spew hatred. I don't want to think that this group is better than that group. I don't want to live a life of constant judgment. And so I make up a story, and we're making up our lives every single moment anyway. So why not make up a story that allows us to tap into the flow of love in our life? And because I truly believe that thank you is an expression of love, I have something to remind you of that. They're all the same. I know what happens when I bring them and they're not the same. There's the decision process that goes on. So they're all the same. They're a little, for those of you who are here for the first time, I'd say every time I've spoken here, I've given out charms. Even when I forgot them in Massachusetts, I went to the bank and got pennies to have enough to give out. But I give out the charms because I need, and I think many of us need, constant reminders to let our love flow. Constant reminders to appreciate the variety of gifts in our life. The ability to turn on a faucet and water pours out. The ability to turn on a switch and a light goes on. We are so very blessed in this land, and yet so often, due to a bigger story that feels like it's beyond us and we're victim to, we forget the simple act of saying, thank you, I appreciate you. So what I'd like you to take a moment to do, does everybody have one of the hearts? One of the thank you hearts? Is to hold it in your hand for a moment. And I ask that you take a moment to think about something you are grateful for about yourself. This is the harder one. It's frequently much easier what we're grateful for about others, but something that you're grateful for yourself, about yourself. your generosity, your sense of humor, your loving heart, your curiosity, your commitment to be a mighty expression of love in the world. And when you're clear about what this quality or characteristic or gift that you have is, breathe it into this heart. And now you have this charm that's now enchanted, and it is enchanted with the quality that you have chosen to be reminded of, to remember, and to express. And it just may be that at the time when you know that you have embraced that and you are embodying that quality from the tip of your toes out through your fingertips up to the top of your head, you may choose to pass the heart on, knowing that you have made the choice for gratitude, that you are a mighty expression of gratitude in the world that is constantly appreciating. Thank you.